Now we're recording.
Now we're recording. Good afternoon, Joe Taranto, Dr. Joseph
Is it
Taranto.
afternoon? More. Is it evening?
Or is it
I
evening?
think it's more of an evening.
I'd like to invite you all to come watch our latest episode of Revitalize Johnstown Presents. Are we calling
what
this
are we doing?
27%?
27%. What's 25% mean?
27% in the documents I received from the Tax Claim Assessment Office showing how much ACRP pays on their Market Street property.
So they only have to pay 27% of taxes, like everybody else has to pay 100.
Well, back in the good old days of about 20 years ago, they got a tax appeal granted. There's actually multiple properties. I've shared, folks, the one document online. The others will get shared in the upcoming weeks leading to the election.
Ooh, anticipation.
And there's other properties throughout the county that have these tax deals. The note cards don't explain why they have them, they just show that they have them.
No, why not? Just give it to them.
The most infamous one comes from Ron Repeck in 2002 when he formed the Xena Corporation, not the mythical warrior
one
princess.
that we don't know about now we're using.
And he just wrote a letter saying this is tax exempt, and I believe that's how the JRA has been filtering all their money tax exempt. And they know about it, and it's okay because we've revitalized Johnstown.
They what did he say they did?
He said that Mark Pasquarella's exact words were something to the effect that we turned it around.
We're turning it around.
Turning it around. So, Mark, we love you.
Wonderful.
We know you're watching. The first thing I want to talk about today, Joe, is my big lawsuit with Tran. You following that?
I am.
Tell everybody about it.
Well, they're suing you.
I know, that's shocking.
Because they don't like the OOR's ruling because the city and Tran were ping-ponging the I have record. They don't have records, but these other people have records back and forth. So they were playing bureaucracy ping pong.
Not bureaucracy, not ping pong, diplomacy.
Diplomacy.
That's what Randy Griffith did the story on it. But he did a good story.
Okay, I didn't
He
read
did. And that's okay. One misquote, not too bad.
But
the backstory.
They ping ponged around both. You know, you ask for records. This agency says they have it. That agency says another person has it. So no one has any documents, but they just keep bouncing around.
The backstory on it is I got tipped off about a year ago that Vision was having a secret meeting with the city, Jaha, and Tran. I know you're shocked.
Yeah,
secret meetings with Vision. So I write to know requested all of the emails from the city council pertaining to the raise grant and to any of these meetings with Mike Tedesco and Ethan Imhoff and our mayor and all these people. And there wasn't much there, but there was one email from Ethan Imhoff to Bill Polachek, Mike Tedesco, and Mayor Frank that had the meeting listed with all of these action items that they discussed at this meeting in March of last year.
Okay.
So when I saw these, and I had to file an appeal to get that email. So in order to cancel the appeal, the city gave me the email.
Okay.
So this is part of the backstory. So now we fast forward, I filed two identical right to know requests, one with this Johnstown City Council, one with Tran, asking for every single item that was mentioned at the secret meeting. The meeting which the city council originally said didn't occur, and then when I filed the appeal on them, they admitted the meeting did happen. So they gave me an affidavit saying that Tran had all the records from the meeting, and Jaha. Tran gives an affidavit claiming the city council has it. The OOR rules both rulings, and they said Tran has the records. They now have to supply the records from the meeting they claim they originally didn't go to, but then they did. How convoluted is this? And this is $25 million of taxpayer money.
It's absurdity that they just keep bouncing it around, denying, lying.
And if I wouldn't have had all this in court documents, I don't think even I would believe it because it's absurd.
It seems ridiculous.
It's absurd. So people, when you're watching these lawsuits play out, this is your government. Rose Lucy Knoll, if you're watching this, she's the executive director of Tran.
Why just give the information out?
Well, better yet, have a public hearing. Langerholg, our senator, forced a public hearing in September, basically challenging everything they're doing because it's been 2+ years.
Well, that's because I think he thinks they're going to screw it up.
And I think they're going to screw it up too.
He's a transportation. He
was the one that got the funding.
It's going to make them look bad.
And because Vision has this history of secret meetings and confidentiality agreements and secret backroom meetings, is it likely they had a secret meeting? Yeah.
Do you really need to be this secretive and convoluted just to run buses?
You know, think of it this way. Rose Lucy Knoll, when I write to know requested records onto her at Tran, she has Tran paying $4,000 a year, roughly, to be a member of the Greater Johnstown Regional Partnership, which is a political action committee, which is government, which is Pascarella and Polachek's arm of Vision.
So, government pays money into an action committee, and that action committee...
Well, they say it's technically not lobbying.
Membership.
It's a membership.
Into an organization that then markets and politicizes their politicians.
Yes, but that's legal. So now we have this secret meeting with Vision, which of course, I just want the records. What I really want, Joe, is them to explain this to me. Because I've already told the Tran board, if I have to subpoena every person who was at and I have a list of who was at the secret meeting.
Yeah.
Because Tran wants a court hearing review on all of this. But they sued me. They sued me with a 5-page lawsuit, very little details, which means their case is probably rocky. And because they have to overturn the OOR's ruling, if a judge would do that, he would set case law overturning state precedent.
Interesting.
But there's other cases that have reaffirmed my winning.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a hard fight for them.
So why are they doing it? That's my question.
Because they want to hide.
Well, people, if you're watching, I will respond to Tran in the next 20 days. I intend to respond. I intend to fight this. I want to know why they're doing this. And I also want to see who of our area lawmakers who may or may not be watching this will jump in, because as we know, you and I are running for Cambria County Commissioner. Our current incumbent commissioners go to the Vision meetings.
They do.
TV Tom is a member of the 18-person, not 17-person board of Vision. They voted to give $90,000 to Vision to help pay for the Afghan refugee resettlement or the salary of Tedesco or whatever.
Yeah, just throw it in the slush fund.
So we have these entanglements with all these government leaders, which leads me to our second point of the day.
What's that?
Let's talk about the Johnstown Housing Authority.
What are they doing?
As we talk about entanglements.
So they have special secret meetings about housing that they're
having
having
at the task force. They created a task force.
Since January.
And no one knows.
No one knew about it. Now all of a sudden, buildings are structurally unsound. No information, no details. Everybody has to leave in 30 days because it's an emergency and it's a disaster.
And if you pay attention to how they did it, the task force has been meeting for all these months. Not a single word, and they're all Vision people. 3 from the city council, including Ethan Imhoff, former vice chairman. 1889 Foundation, Sue Mann is on Vision. Community Foundations, Mike Kane and Mark Pascarella.
What are they planning on doing?
Are they going to sell it to themselves to a nonprofit?
Maybe they'll sell it to Xena Corp.
Hey, 3, they can give it to themselves.
Give it to them.
They need more property.
Who knows?
But the real tragedy of this here is
throwing all those people out. You know, they don't have to have anything documented where there's an actual real issue that's getting rid of them.
My issue with Prospect, and you saw the video, with people last time we were here, I was advocating for a woman who lived in Prospect.
Yeah.
Her entire ceiling came crashing down. So when this happened, I went to the JHA Housing Authority meeting. We protested. They apologized to her. They said they were going to submit it to the Housing Authority's insurance.
Yes.
Because it was structurally unsound. And now 3 weeks later,
the whole building is.
All of the buildings.
All of them.
And it's not just Prospect that's under fire.
But who's documenting this? You know, who's stamping it saying it's structurally unsound, and then they're just telling everybody to leave? Because you can't just. Did the city condemn them?
Did HUD say you have to do this?
But even
we don't know.
But tenants have rights. They can't just say you're out.
They're giving them 30 days. You saw the letter.
But what say if a tenant says I don't want to leave?
Can they evict them? They claim
they
would
can't. Have to evict them, but then that process would take eviction time.
Would take time.
But just to say you're out in 30 days, I mean, they don't. That's. I could see if the city came in and said, or an agency came in and said, this building is condemned. It's a hazard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But there has to be a specific reason why it's going to fall down on you. You have to leave. Oh, okay. Then you have to leave. But the fact that you're just vaguely saying it's something wrong, that Mike Alberts doesn't even give an interview to say what's going on.
No response.
Vague. That's something doesn't sound right.
But who's going to hold them accountable?
Are they making room to put Afghan refugees in?
What if they're going to sell it for resettlement?
I have no idea.
And here's the thing:
the conspiracy theories are out there because they don't give information.
And Prospect is just as old as Oakhurst, and there are rumors that they're going to close Oakhurst next.
Okay.
Is that true? Is it not true? We've heard those rumors for the last year.
Secret meetings, making decisions that affect the public without the public's consent or knowledge.
And they don't care. because no one's running for office that's going to challenge them.
Yeah.
So the Housing Authority's next board meeting is March 28th. I'm going to be there. Will they answer us?
Did they mention any of these things at any of the meetings? that you
Never.
were
I
at?
go to them all. City Council, Housing Authority, not a word.
Hmm.
It's just one day. It's the petition deadline passed to run for City Council that appoints the Housing Authority Board. There's no
That was it.
challengers. A couple days later, shut down. They're
No
safe.
discussion, nothing whatsoever. Yet, isn't that odd that there was no discussion that this was an issue and this is what they were going to do?
And
Just
here's the other
bang,
thing:
did it.
there was no press conference, and there will not be answers.
If this was, they had to print up the letter, bring emergency board meeting. Hey, we have an issue.
Approve it.
Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
So the question becomes: is the board of the Housing Authority in charge, or is Mike Alberts, like Rose Lucy Knoll, arbitrarily just doing things and the board's rubber
Behind
stamping
the
it?
scenes, yeah, or
What's
not
going
stamping
on?
anything at all.
What's going on?
No
We
one
have
knows.
the Johnstown City Council meeting was this week. Joe, it was the most boring 3 hours of my life.
3 hours.
They took an hour executive session. I sued the city for First Amendment
Did they
rights.
get pizza? At least?
No, Bobby didn't bring us any pizza. Uncle Bobby, we need pizza. Robin was there too. But the issue is I sued them for First Amendment. They violated my rights. We talked about this.
Yes.
No media coverage for it.
Okay.
I've submitted it to all the TV, all the newspaper. The newspaper covered the lawsuit with Camtran,
Mhm.
not the lawsuit with the city. So my first question is why?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Mom's house was supposed to be on the agenda. I was expecting them to vote it down. They untabled it, put it for a public hearing, and then retabled it, which is a good thing. It allows us time to have a protest, get people to show up. I told the council I wanted the planning commission meeting redone, and the rules changed.
Again, I don't think they're doing any of it properly. I don't know. The only reason it would go to planning commission is if they wanted to change the rules to the plans. If they wanted to change the zoning, they should have went before the zoning hearing board, paid the $250, sent the letters out to everybody within a perimeter, and then had a hearing in front of the zoning hearing board. The planning and the zoning are two separate entities because you can't have the body making the plan for it and also the body making the decisions for it. You can't have them the same.
And we've been talking about this for months.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the other issue was I'm standing in front of the council, I'm doing my 3-minute non-agenda, and I asked the question. They appointed 21 people to what's called the Main Street Committee.
And where's that committee at?
They passed a $1.6 million plan. The architects were sitting behind me. They never even had them. They drove from New York. They didn't even speak. And then when I asked, do they have term limits on these board members? When are they meeting? Are they an agency under the right to know law? Can I file for meeting minutes? They all just kind of looked at me with a dumb stare.
They forgot about it.
They created a board.
They created a board and they
Created
forgot
a
it
board.
existed. They created a board because they were like, we're going to create a board and that way everybody's going to have input. And they shut everybody up and then they forgot it existed and went about their way.
And now that it's brought up, it's like the zoning. The city promised to change the zoning for the dance order. We talk about this every single week.
And they did nothing.
I bring it up every month. They look at me with a dumb stare, hoping I just leave. Nothing. I did mention that I spoke to the Attorney General's office. I watched their blank stares. For those of you who remember back in November, I challenged the City Council because there's all these interconnections on the ARPA money.
Okay.
So I filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office. It's taken this many months. A little over a month
They
ago,
picked it up.
they picked it up. Their exact wording to me was, if you don't hear back from us, it's open, because we can't
So it's
comment.
open.
So they never closed it. I never got a closing email, never got a closing letter. If it happens, I ask they cooperate. We know they won't. I know this is one of your topic of issues that bothers you, the flood wall lawsuit.
Oh, I don't like it.
Tell us. I think it's...
Well, I don't like the fact that they're throwing it on the homeowners. It's like if there's a pothole outside of your house and someone wrecked on it and then they can sue you for that pothole as a property owner. That seems ridiculous. That river walls have no business being maintained by individual property owners at all. That's something that the government was supposed to take care of. I think we looked into it before and the city had an agreement with the Redevelopment Authority or something vice versa where they were supposed to work it out. But between the city and the Redevelopment Authority, they're supposed to maintain the river walls, even if the small place, the tributaries like Sam's Creek, Sam's Run and different creeks like that. The city and the Redevelopment Authority were supposed to take care of it. But then when we had an issue and they were falling down, well, they all said, oh, homeowners have to take it. what homeowner has millions of dollars to fix a river wall that goes by their property?
And now there's a lawsuit.
Because someone fell and died.
They referenced it during their executive session. That was my lawsuit and the lawsuit with the Riverwall. And that's a tragedy, and my heart goes out to that family. They should be suing. And the city should be acknowledging that they're wrong and fixing it.
But, I mean, it's the same people who tear down the wrong houses.
And they don't care. They don't care.
But the response usually is, well, the insurance.
Because they're not accountable.
They're not accountable.
And the thing is, unless you and I are making them accountable, no one's showing.
Now that lawsuit, again, nothing against the family, because I agree, they just went after. Instead of suing the homeowner, the property owners or whatever, they should have went after the executive director, the city manager, the people. Put them personally online, because those are the people. I saw houses for sale that were near river walls, and after that debacle before, where they were trying to blame it on the homeowners, I won't go near one. But there's no way homeowners can repair a river wall.
And it's a tragedy. Another one of the things you and I can talk about, of course, they gave $67,000 for a new scoreboard at the Point Stadium.
Wonderful.
Is anyone using the Point Stadium?
Apparently someone's using it.
Somebody. The mill rats.
But we're subsidizing it.
And that's a problem. About a week ago, Joe, I got an anonymous letter in the mail with a list of complaints about the Cambria County Humane Society.
Mm-hmm.
The TV and the newspaper covered it.
Yes.
I called them up and I said, can we have a sit down? And Sharon Honkus, if you're watching, amazing. The board approved her to come. I went to the Humane Society. I was there with Sarah Oldman. I was there with Kelly Ruiz, the new executive director. We had maybe an hour and a half sit down. We went through bullet points of every single complaint on the anonymous letter, and I got a tour of the whole facility.
But didn't they admit though there was some issues and they cleaned them up?
Yes.
So there probably was some validity to the complaints that were sent to you, except they were then addressed.
And they addressed them well.
Well, that's good.
Well, the thing is, that's how government, and they're not government. But what bothers me,
they are being paid. From what I understand, from our city government, because we do not have a dog warden. So if there's a dog running around in the street, those are the people they get. They get the phone call. So who does the animal control in the city of Johnstown or other municipalities?
I think it's the warden and the Humane Society.
We have the state warden.
Yeah, state warden.
But I mean, he's the state. Who's our person? We don't have anybody. It's them. Because I've had issues with dogs here, and no one will come and get them.
It's definitely a problem. But I'm glad they had to sit down with me. The videos had almost 2,000 views. At least they were transparent.
Understand.
Other people wouldn't have done that. Even if they cleaned it up, it's still addressed.
Well, I just don't think they should have the contract to be the city's dog warden or whatever they are, if they don't have the capacity or the people, the manpower to collect dogs that need to be removed or other animals. They need that. Now that needs addressed.
Now we did touch base on Xena Corporation. I asked Mr. Pasquarella this week to dissolve it. You don't need it. You watch
they're not going to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to keep that.
They had a nooner meeting this week. Their next meeting is this Tuesday. The agenda may be out. I have to check. It's probably going to be out Monday. Why a special meeting to buy more? They're buying more properties. They had to approve another property.
And they're okay buying properties, just what they do with them. And they should be collecting properties, packaging them for sale for specific reasons. But what they do is they package them, and then they seem to collect properties that I'm a friend of one of theirs, and I want this property, and then they target that property, clean it up for them from the taxes, and then give it to that person. But once again, I don't get that luxury. I don't get that service.
No, it's for the select few of the friends and family.
So if you're a select member of this cabal, you can contact them, tell them you want this property that's vacant or whatever. Your city government will clean it up for you
using taxpayer money.
Get it, package it to you, and sell it to you on the cheap. Meanwhile,
cheap.
If you're the regular citizen, you're on your own. I tried to look at a building over here. I said, who owns it? They couldn't do anything. No one cared. It's sitting there. There's a hole in the roof now. It's falling down, and that's just what's going to happen. It's going to be a mess. But if I was connected to them and they were my friend, the gates would open. They'd clear up all the taxes. They give it to me for a couple cents, and that's that. Well, that's the problem. They're selective.
Well, it's for the friends and family.
Yeah.
And now that they have the reassessment going on.
And then what? Barban, he brings up. He's like, "Well, we bought a bunch of property. How many years on Broad Street where the penalty?
20 years ago.
My God, my dad worked there. That was so forever. Like that.
That's their only part. Then he claims
it back to.
Hanging Garden. We made $1 million. You lost millions on
There
that.
are millions. They put millions of dollars into that Hanging Garden building. Well, it's not the the Iron Street building.
Cambry Iron.
Millions of dollars in renovations just recently, from our tax money, went into that building for them to set them up for that iron or the Hanging Gardens. And then I'm looking through old Redevelopment Authority information. They put millions of dollars in. I mean, a decade ago.
And they keep doing it.
They just keep rehashing.
And then when you tell them, they say, "No, we're successful."
We made money.
No, you didn't. You lost.
Here's my question: who pays for Komar and Barban's salary? Is
We
it
do, the
SOAR?
taxpayers.
But is it the SOAR, or are they getting paid off of the money made from the real estate end of the JRA?
They're paid from the taxpayers.
Well,
the source.
I'm betting it's the SOAR because I don't think they make enough money to pay for the buildings that they own, the electricity, all the utilities,
Insurance.
all the insurance. I don't think they're making the money on the redevelopment side to pay for all of their salaries. I think they get all the money from the SOAR. That finances them, and then the redevelopment end of it is they're little pet projects. They're not making any money. They're probably losing money, and the SOAR is subsidizing them. But then they can say, no, we're self-sufficient. But they're not taking into account that I think all that SOAR money is what's actually supporting them.
You have to remember, we have 2 redevelopment authorities in the county, Johnstown and the county redevelopment. We don't need 2. You just need 1 per county. It's redundant.
Well, I know they were trying to talk about doing that land bank, and at one time I thought a land bank was a good idea, but the redevelopment authority and a land bank are pretty much almost the exact same thing, because the one agency I was going to on the housing authority it was a state agency for housing and redevelopment authorities, and they even brought up the fact that REPAC was the one that pushed the purchase of the SOAR to the redevelopment authority to finance it, because when the redevelopment funding went dry, they had to find a way to become sufficient. So I know they were doing it because there was people at the state talking about it. That doesn't sound right. You shouldn't be supporting your redevelopment authority with SOAR fees. It's mixing.
Now, some of the news you didn't hear. Oh, I just bumped the fire. You feel how hot that is?
Yourself?
I
Wait,
did.
if you watch, it'll say crackle at the bottom.
Don't make me laugh.
It's on mute.
Some of the news we didn't hear this week was about the Greater Johnstown School Board meeting because nobody went.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Robin and I didn't go.
They're going to spend more money. The kids
media
are still not
didn't
going to
go.
be educated, and rah-rah,
Yeah.
Trojan pride.
They changed
Whatever.
some administration. No one cared.
They just take the seats, shift them around, mix them around, add another $1 million.
Now, you
Still
and
goes
I
downhill.
announced our platform, a part of our potential platform this week.
Well,
It's online. You can read it on our page. The big thing is we talk about transparency with vision. Go ahead. I'll put you on the spot.
I don't know where you're going.
I'm
Honestly, you talked about platform, and then you.
Right. Well, I'm reading our little statement with our little page.
I'm not. You're
I'm
reading. You're the one that you wrote this all out and want
Oh,
to catch me
that's
cold
on me.
on it. I said, do I get to even know what we're talking about today? You're
No.
like, no. So
we discussed transparency.
that's why I'm the other guy.
The other guy.
You're the host.
We discussed property tax reform.
Okay.
We discussed taxing.
Yes.
We discussed all emergency services. Someone had a
You
question.
talking about our little our platform we started.
Yes.
Well, it's our partial platform
Partial.
because as people bring up things, we'll add to the, because we want it to be out there. So that's why it's everything's a work in progress.
And there should be an article in the Tribune Pravda tomorrow we put on Facebook, and we'll see how badly we're boulder dashed.
Oh, I don't care. I'm not giving them a read it. But so you're talking about what, property tax from the county?
Yes.
What do you want to talk about?
Taxes. We discussed a lot of
What's
stuff.
your question?
I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to give you talking points.
You're the one that took time to write it down.
I know. We had a question on Facebook about emergency services, particularly firefighters.
Yeah, well, there's been several fire agencies and people that talk to us about the different issues they're having, and it almost seems I'm sure there's a lot of similarities and issues, but it seems like that other since there's so many, they're all having unique things as well, having issues with. So I mean, to really kind of break down what's going on, getting those people all together in a room.
It's a lot.
Maybe inviting a representative from each house to come in, and then they sit in a room, and then they say, all right, this is a problem we're having, and a bunch of people say, yeah, we're all having that problem too. And we make notes, figure out, what the main concerns are, and then until we know what the priority concerns are, then you really can't make a complete plan as to how you would address it.
And then that needs to be done, and it's not being done right now.
Because there's been a lot of people saying that they're having an issue. It's manpower issues, funding issues. I like the one fellow I was talking to about call issues. He was complaining that he thought that the calls were being directed more to the, let's say, paid or city services to outside areas. So let's look at that. Let's see, are they calling out of the area? I don't really know, and we wouldn't know unless we write to no request, and then we would take 2 months to get anything, and they black it all out. But as a commissioner, you can just pull. You can demand the information and pull
And
it
receive it
immediately, and have a meeting and bring those people in and actually break it down to see what's going on. But until you're in that position to pull that information readily and break it all down quickly to see where the issues are, you really can't develop an encompassing plan to do something. So that's the issue.
I agree.
When you're talking to someone and they have some problems, but it needs addressed. Something to get on. Yes.
So that's it for I forget who was that asked us, but we'll mention.
Well, we want to mention his name. So I don't want to mention names.
The Galleria continues to be talked about. That's some good news. We have to throw some good news in every once in a while.
Oh, this is the good news
This
section.
is the good. Well, not totally
this is
good news.
I was at AAA, so I had to do stuff. That's at the Galleria.
Did you have fun?
Oh, every time.
Was it busy?
You're like doing a title transfer or something.
I went to 2 wakes today. One was my friend Tammy. I've known her for 25 years. Prayers to her and her family. Great friend, great person. The other one was for Representative Burns' mother. Again, my condolences, Frank, to you and your family. Joe and I.
Condolences to both.
Very sorry for your loss, for you and your family. And that's my list.
That's it?
It's been 27 minutes.
That's a quick one.
27 minutes for 27%.
Oh, well, there you go.
I tried the
you have
time.
to wait 3 more seconds.
3 more seconds.
1, now it's 20 seconds.
I guess our final thought.
That's all you.
It's all me.
You're the Jerry Springer.
Every week we're doing these podcasts, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. We know you're watching. You have questions, ask us. Try to follow what we're doing here. Joe and I want to be transparent, open, and honest, and make a positive change in Cambria County for you. Far too long in this society, this county has continued to lose population, lose jobs, lose agriculture, and no one's addressing it. Joe and I are here to provide that opportunity so something actually changes and things get better here. That's the best way to put it.
We need to address the problems and not just sugarcoat everything.
So since we're at 27 minutes, this is 27%. Thank you all so much.